Hi, how are ya? Now that the bad joke's out of the way, let's go with the AFC East record predictions. Joe Fanatic Sports back again, and I want to talk about the AFC East first. One, it's the most competitive division in football, basically. I mean, you could say the AFC West or NFC East or something like that, but there's potential of three playoff teams in this division. I don't know if I can say that about most other divisions right now. I want to start off with Buffalo. I have them going 13-4. The main reason is just all I have to say is Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. They're dominant. Everyone knows that. Those two together are one of the best duos I've seen in my time of watching football. Now, one issue with them is that they do have the seventh hardest schedule, but we've seen them have pretty not great schedules before and still come out on top this division. They're going to have a top 8-ish defense. It's going to be great. Could be top 5. There's a lot of great defenses in this division alone. And with Von Miller coming back, the development of their second-year corner, Kaiir Elam, who knows what this defense could possess coming into this season. One thing I also like about this team is the running game. We know that their running game has been garbage outside of Josh Allen for years now. Devin Singletary had a solid year last year. Nothing really special, though. They added Damian Harris and Latavius Murray. Both can be great on the goal line, and James Cook is looking for a breakout season this upcoming year as he gets that number one role. However, fantasy owners may not be happy with him because of Damian Harris, Latavius Murray, and Josh Allen all getting goal line work. Rookies, though, I think Dalton Kincaid can be a top 10 tight end out the gate. He's elite in almost every aspect of being a tight end, at least coming out of college. Who knows if he'll translate to the NFL? It all really depends on his snap share with Dawson Knox. Dawson Knox is a talented tight end. We've seen him have pretty decent seasons before, and coaches have come out and said that they're going to play more two tight end sets. We'll just have to see if Josh Allen wants to throw to Kincaid more there or just stick with his usual of Stephon Diggs and then Gabe Davis deep. And the Bills are going to be the shortest because it's the Bills. 13-4. I don't see them having that much of an issue this year. Now, this is one I'm really passionate about. After doing some research, looking at some other people's thoughts on the topic, I have the Miami Dolphins going 8-9. There's one reason for this that I have seen a lot and I've looked into, and I kind of agree. Tua is way too scheme reliant. By that I mean the Dolphins with Mike McDaniel are a very RPO heavy offense. Once the Chargers figured out how to play that by just playing press man, the offense went downhill in weeks 13 through 14. Let me read you some stats from PFF. In weeks 1 through 12, the Dolphins' EPA per play was .06, third in the league. Tua's pass rating, 115.7, first. Yards per attempt, 9, first. PFF grade, 91.1, second. In weeks 13 and 14, EPA per play, negative .2, 27th. Tagovailoa pass rating, 73.1, 25th. Yards per attempt, 7.2, 13th. Not awful, but, you know. And PFF grade, 57.9, 27th. So once teams realize that press man really works well against this Dolphins RPO offense, and then Tua missed the rest of the games after that, that's why it only said 13 and 14, there wasn't much this Dolphins offense could do. I mean, obviously you have Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill to bail you out at times, but with Tua's limited skill set, that could really cause some issues right there, being that teams can figure out this offense so quickly. I saw one TikToker, I do forget his name, I apologize, compares to the Jared Goff situation with the Rams. When Todd Gurley was dominant, they would just run play action all the time. Teams like the Bears and the Patriots figured it out pretty quickly and stopped them. Gonna see a similar effect here with the Dolphins. I mean, their defense could be decent, though. It just really depends on Jalen Ramsey's health. But I want to stick for Tua. While he is scheme-reliant, he's also injury-prone. He had 3 injuries last year, and yeah, he put on weight to try and avoid injuries, be able to take those hits. Still, though, you don't just become a less injury-prone quarterback or a non-injury-prone quarterback just by putting on weight. Yes, it helps. I don't know. I don't fall for it. And the only way to fix these issues that they have is by taking those deep shots. And you got deep shot guys, 2 fastest players in the league almost. But Tua can't create outside of structure. He can't make his own plays. All of his injuries came on plays where he tried to create and it didn't go well for him. And he doesn't have great arm strength also, as we all know. I think it's not as bad as people say, but it's still not good. So basically, it's near impossible for the Dolphins to improvise right there, unless they just do short passes. But again, RPOs, it's going to get figured out. He needs to create his own plays, but when he tries, it just ends up not good for the team. And this running game is still a scare. Mostert's injury prone. A chain is like 5'9", 185. That's kind of scary. And Jeff Wilson's decent, but I don't know if he can handle a full workload. I do love a chain, though. He was one of the guys I was thinking about making a video on during my draft videos, but I decided Roschon Johnson. I love those fast types of running backs. He had a lot of production at Texas A&M in his last season there. I don't know. I think he could be something for them in a couple of years. I think he needs to gain some weight, though. Another thing is that they have the second hardest schedule in the league. That doesn't help anyone. Jalen Ramsey's hurt. Tua could get hurt. There's a lot of injury-prone players on this team. Bradley Chubb has missed time as well. Their O-line can also be a problem outside of Armstead. This defense could be great, but they need a bounce-back year from Xavier Howard. Jalen Ramsey's health also matters, but he won't come back till December. So they really rely on Cam Smith to probably play that quarterback 2 or 3 role alongside Xavier Howard and whoever else they want to put there. But there's 2 guys I think will break out like completely. Jalen Phillips and Javon Holland. Both those guys can be elite players in their career. Jalen Phillips has every tool you need for an outside linebacker, edge rusher, and Javon Holland is a great coverage guy. Bradley Chubb is their X factor, though. If he succeeds, the Dolphins' defense succeeds because they traded some stuff for him. They need him to be a good pass rusher alongside Jalen Phillips. But one thing I will note about this Dolphins defense is that there will be growing pains going from defensive coordinator Josh Boyer to Vic Fangio, as they're both 2 completely different schemes. Boyer was blitz heavy, while Fangio is not, as we know. Boyer also loves man. Fangio's defense has been copied by so many people in the league, as he has a variety of zone coverages. He loves to play guys over the top to avoid deep shots, and he has similar pre-snap looks to confuse opposing quarterbacks that turn into different plays. Fangio's scheme could lead to a Pro Bowl type of season from like Javon Holland, though, because he's great at getting safeties into the Pro Bowl. I don't know why. And same thing with one of those edge rushers. He's really good at getting those positions into the Pro Bowl, and I couldn't tell you why, to be honest. And I want to talk about Cam Smith real quick. He did really well in the preseason, the first game. He had an insane pass breakup, a good tackle on a running back, but he did leave early with a shoulder injury. We'll see how that affects him going forward. I don't know the specifics on it, but he'll probably be okay. Overall, though, because of all the issues I named with Tua and the potential Jared Goff and Rams comparison, 8 and 9 for me. New York Jets, 10 and 7. They do have one of the hardest schedules, but you bring in Aaron Rodgers, an already elite quarterback. He has nothing left to prove in his career, and it's just like the Brett Favre thing. I think he'll come in and make the playoffs with this Jets roster. The main thing, though, is Breece Hall. We don't know what the deal is with his health. He will be back and playing within the first couple weeks. I know that. Maybe even week 1. I haven't read the reports as of right now. But his health is in question after an ACL tear. You don't know how a running back is going to play after an ACL tear. We really almost never see them do well unless your name's Adrian Peterson. And another thing is, the wide receivers after Garrett Wilson are okay, but none of them are really like a wide receiver too. And you got Lazard and you got Corey Davis and even Randall Cobb, but none of those guys can really fill a wide receiver 2 role. Lazard is more of a 3, same with Corey Davis outside of 1 year with Tennessee, and Randall Cobb is 40,000 years old. Outside of Garrett Wilson, I'm afraid of what can happen there, but we've seen years like that with the Packers, with basically the same receiver core. So Garrett Wilson's in for a big year. If I'm a Jets fan, I'm looking to 1,400-ish yards, potentially. Now, that's the ceiling, 1,500 ceiling, but say 1,200's the floor. Fantasy football guys, draft them in your mid-second round. I have the 9th pick, so I'm kind of afraid I'm reaching on them. I don't know, though. I have 2 other drafts. Picks haven't been decided. Besides the point. Another fear is, could Rodgers' decline be real from last season? After 2 MVP years in a row, he was not the same last year. But, he had no one to throw to. He had a rookie Christian Watson who, yes, had some big plays, but overall was very inconsistent. Romeo Doubs, I think he'll be good with Jordan Love. I just don't know if he fit that Aaron Rodgers play style, and he was a rookie late-round pick. And there's also offensive line problems. Mekhi Becton, there's question marks all around him. He hasn't played in years. There's good depth in that offensive line, but there's not a lot of keynote starters. So this pass rush in the AFC East can get by Becton and anyone else on that line outside of Elijah Vera-Tucker, who I think could be really good, will be really good this year. If I'm looking at the Jets O-line, I just see the Patriots with Keon White, Josh Uche, and Matt Judon. The Dolphins with Bradley Chubb, Christian Wilkins, and Jalen Phillips. And the Bills with Von Miller being able to get past that offensive line and disrupt Aaron Rodgers a lot. But the one good thing, well, there's a lot of good things about the Jets. The elite thing about the Jets this year is their defense. We all know that it's going to be great. They just drafted Will McDonald IV at a edge rusher. They also have Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed, who are both top 10 corners and the best cornerback duo in the league without question. Quinnen Williams is a monster on that inside, and they have decent safeties and linebackers. It's overall just an insane unit. I think it'll be the best defense in the league. Well, I would say top 3 because the 49ers and Cowboys are right there with them. The 49ers probably have that edge. I think they could be a top 3 defense in this league without question. I want to bring up Will McDonald IV, who I just brought up. He already had a sack in his first preseason game. He bent around the edge on that Panthers offensive tackle, got by him very easily, and just wrapped up the quarterback to make the sack. I mean, it was a textbook play right there by a defensive lineman. I think he might have been held on it too, but he still got by him and got the sack. So, I mean, that's pretty good. And like I said about depth with the offensive line, they added a couple guys in the second and I believe the fourth round. It helps, but like they're rookies. You don't know how they'll play. We'll just have to see how the Jets' offensive line turns out this year because I think that is their X factor. There's not one guy I'd consider their X factor. I would say it's the whole offensive line group, personally, because I guess you could say Mekhi Becton. It just depends on the whole unit, really, because they have some young guys, some injured guys, and then just some decent-ish guys. But if that line isn't great and you don't give Rodgers time to throw, I think that the lack of a real wide receiver too could come out there because he'll just be looking for Garrett, but he has a great connection with Lazard, as we know, a lot of chemistry there. Just have to see how it all turns out for this New York Jets offensive line and the offense because we all know the defense will be great. And coming up last is my favorite team, as you can see, the New England Patriots. Yeah, we're a 7-10 team. A bunch of my friends bet the over on the 7.5 wins. I mean, I could see us getting 8, but I also don't think we'll have the same amount of wins as the Dolphins. The Dolphins could finish 9-8, by the way. I don't see that out of the picture at all. But based off my predictions, 7-10 seems the best. We have a lackluster offense, as we all know. All things with our offense depend on the development of Mac Jones and how well Bill O'Brien can coach this group. The wide receiver core is not even top 24. I'll say it's bottom 8. I don't want to give you 8, but you know what I mean. Even with the camp emergence of rookie Demario Douglas and the additions of Juju Smith-Schuster and Mike Gesicki, potential development from Tyquan Thornton, there's not a lot going on there. Tyquan had a great catch in his first preseason game of the year, and Demario Douglas did not play much in the first game, which according to Bill, who said players with less experience will play more, that's a great sign. I think he could be a real starting receiver for this team. I mean, he's shown out a lot in camps. He's like 7-0 on one-on-ones or like 11-0. Against Gonzalez, Miles Bryant, who don't know how he's on the roster. I hope he gets cut. But he's been dominating camp overall. Juju, I mean, he's going to be a solid receiver, but we all know he's a wide receiver 2, even 3. Gesicki, I think, will play a huge role in this offense. Him and Hunter Henry will go back to those Gronk and name redacted years, I mean. I love that aspect of the passing offense, but like the wide receivers in general just aren't great. We also kind of have offensive tackle problems. Trent Brown had a down year last year. He's also injury prone. I really just don't know what to expect from upcoming this in 2023. And Riley Reif, I haven't heard much about him in camp, but like he's old, he's a veteran. He can provide leadership, but I think if we had someone there, I don't think he'd be on this roster. Back in like 2017, I would have been okay with Riley Reif. Now, offensive line guys, I don't know if he was actually good then. I know he was decent for a good part of his career. I don't know what years, though, so don't get on me right now, all right? Whatever. The one thing about this offense I think we need outside of wide receiver, obviously getting Hopkins would have been awesome, is we need a veteran running back behind Ramondre. I don't know if he's ready to handle I mean, he can handle it, but I think it'd be smarter if we got a veteran running back behind the Monster. I need to copyright that nickname, though, because that should be a viral nickname. There's two guys I would want. Ezekiel Elliott, because of the pass blocking, and, he could churn out some yardage in the goal line, red zone area. And Dalvin Cook, just because he's a dynamic playmaker. Some may say he fell off, but he still put up good numbers last year. And yeah, he's injury prone. But I mean, as an RB2/RB1B type of role, I like him a lot there. If there's one guy I don't want, it's Leonard Fournette. I mean, yeah, he could catch the ball, but that's literally all he can do at this point in his career. And the Patriots are going to have a top 5 defense. I mean, let's be honest here. They added a bunch of guys in the draft and free agency and all that. The young guys really could emerge. I mean, we're looking at Christian Gonzalez, who somehow fell to us at 17. He was potentially the best corner in the draft, depending on what you thought about, him and Devin Witherspoon, who went 5th overall. Well, obviously, GMs thought he might have been better. You got Jack Jones, who somehow is not in prison. Keon White, his first preseason game was dominant. I mean, offensive linemen were scared of him in that game. Rookie dynamic playmaker. I'm not even going to give him position. Marte Mapu. Jonathan Jones, we all know, is solid corner. Marcus Jones can play all 3 sides of the football. There's a lot of guys on that defense to love. And then you got Josh Uche, who broke out last year with 11 sacks. Matt Judon, we know he is. Plus, you're adding Keon White to that mix, too. I love that pass rushing group. Our linebackers are always decent with Juwan Bentley leading the way. Christian Barmore, I expect a big year from him. I love him personally. Not like that. Chill, guys. I love him as a prospect coming into the league, and we got him. I think he'll be great for us this year, especially stopping the run. But we do have the 3rd hardest schedule in the league, which is kind of why I gave us that 7-10 record. Say we had like a middle of the pack schedule, like 17 through 14. I think we could have won 8-9 games, if we just had a less competition. But given the schedule we have, I mean, it's going to be a tough road. We play the Eagles week 1, play the NFC East, which is a very competitive division. The Commanders are even a decent team. Now, will they win a lot of games? No, but they'll be competitive in most games. That's how they are. That's how they're coached. But it's going to be a rough season for us. If there's one guy I want us to bring in, it's Jarvis Landry. Not because he'll be a playmaker for us. I just love him, as everyone knows. I mean, if you look at my YouTube banner, he's my favorite player ever. Not that he's the best player I've ever watched. I just think he's a really personable guy as well. I just like him as a person, as a player. I loved his play style in Miami. I just thought he was really fun to watch, honestly. And just rookies overall, I think Keon White's going to have a big breakout role. I think he can get like 6-ish, 7 sacks as like a rotational piece. Marte Mapu, personally, I won't lie, I don't know much about him. I didn't know much about him coming into the draft, but I think he could be an animal in the future after doing some research. He's just very versatile and can play linebacker, safety, etc. Gonzalez is basically my father. He looked solid in week 1 of the preseason. Nothing like spectacular, but I liked how he looked in that game. Demario Douglas, like I said, he barely played. I think he really will be a starter. And Keyshawn Boot, I don't know how to say it, honestly. He played a lot in the preseason game, which is kind of worrisome, but he showed like some stuff, but not really, didn't really play that great. He just needs to earn a roster spot after his glory days at LSU and injuries and stuff like that. Now, if there's one guy I think is the X factor to this defense and this team overall, it's Jalen Mills. We saw it in week 1 of the preseason. CJ Stroud didn't even see Jalen Mills get that pick. He'll be playing more of that McCourty role outside rather than corner because we need more safeties right now. Him and Kyle Duggar can be a great corner safety duo. I think those two together will be something to really look for in this upcoming season. Now, to summarize, I have the standings going: Buffalo 13-4, New York 10-7, Miami 8-9, and New England 7-10. There is some wiggle room. Bills can go 14-3. I don't really see them only getting 12 wins. Miami could go, depending on health, 7-10 or 10-7. I don't see any more, any less than that personally, because they also have Mike White, who's a decent backup. New York, I think the worst they go is 8-9, but that's like their floor. That's if like something goes wrong. And then their ceiling, I would say, is 12-5. Patriots' floor is 6-11. Ceiling is 9-8. Really just competitive division overall. I love watching the AFC East football games because, I'm a Patriots fan. I love watching us when we play I hate the Bills, but I like watching the Bills because, they're a fun team. Also, why would I ever like the Jets? And Miami is my second favorite team. So I like watching all those matchups because it's either hatred and I just get to watch fun football. Rather than, besides that Jets game last year, yes, we had a game-winning punt return, but the rest of the game was just a lot. But with all of that being said, that's for me, guys. Comment below what you think about these division rankings. Like I said, Bills 1, Jets 2, Dolphins 3, Patriots in last place. If you have any disagreements or you love something I said, just comment down below. Make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channels. All support is very much appreciated. Make sure you follow me on Instagram at FanaticSports25 and on Twitter and TikTok at FanaticsSports. Now, I forgot my football. However, I have this mini one right here. So, this is Joe of Fanatic Sports, signing off.